We encountered that 2 days ago.
Huh?
We encountered that, but it was over by Hills.
Sure.
Same thing. But some guy came with a old kind of a blazer thing, and he beeped at them, and away they go. So they must have been used to it.
Yeah. Well, he, they saw him yesterday, but they were heading away, so they thought, somebody but they're back down today, and
Full grown?
they're like 700 to 900 pounds, maybe
Really?
last year's.
So it's a good thing that they don't.
They're bulls.
Crops aren't in. Yeah, that's ugly.
Right.
You don't want to be messing with those.
Good morning. I have 11:30. I'm going to call the Legal Affairs meeting to order. Roll call. Looks like everybody's here but Dave Struda. I got a call from him last night. He was unable to attend today. Visitors. We got a heck of a crowd. I've never had this many people before.
Approved minutes. Just wanted to see you, Mike.
It's what?
Approved the minutes.
I was looking at roll call yet. So,
You want to introduce everybody?
yeah, I
That'd
think
probably be good to go
probably,
around everybody.
just everybody, I don't know if everybody knows. I'm Mike Leese, the chair. Go this way.
David Apt, Corporation Counsel. To my left, I'm going to introduce to you Michael Windle. Michael is a recent graduate of the University of Wisconsin Law School in Madison. He will be joining our firm this month. And I wanted all of you to meet him. He's not yet practicing, but he will be in a week or two.
And Nikki Swain with Apt Swain Law as well.
Dave Agnew, County Board. Dennis Brault, County Board Chair.
Darcy Rood, I'm the judge. I was asked to be here.
I'm Pam Eichmann, I'm the Director of Human Services. Welcome aboard, Michael. I'm Mary Bringy, member of Personnel and Human Services Committees.
Gail Muller, supervisor.
Lonnie Muller, one of the newspapers.
Sean Reddington, County Board Supervisor, Chair of the Human Services Committee.
Amanda Hoff, Administrator at Vernon Manor.
Phil Hewitt, Highway Commissioner and Building Facility Supervisor.
Nathan Campbell, Chief Deputy with Sheriff's Office.
Serena?
Serena Edmond, Personnel Director.
Connie McCulloch, IT Director.
Roger Call, Board of Supervisors.
David?
David Stovenell, I'm here to speak at the time.
Justin Running, County Board.
Case Stana, County Board.
Ron Huff, County Clerk.
We had Rachel, Adrian?
Adrian Amos, County Board Supervisor.
I think that's everybody.
I got them all down.
Full crowd.
You're a good man.
Affirmation of proper public notice.
Yes.
Okay. Review and approve minutes of the April 11th meeting.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Kay. Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So I take a look at David.
Okay, approve of vouchers. Typically, I think they're here someplace. We
Yeah,
go,
they're
they're
going
already
over there.
moving around. We'll approve them after everybody gets a chance to see it, so we're coming back. Audience to visitors. Now, I got a whole bunch of people here, so is there any particular reason, anybody? I hear none. I'll move on. David, I did do you give me this CD, okay? And I'm gonna give it back to you. It says disc 40. Now, I don't know if there's 40 copies or what, but I looked at it in my, I'll give it back to you. I put it in my CD player at home. I got some information off it, not a lot. It's all old-time stuff. A lot of it's blurry. I couldn't read it. In cases where I could read it, I paused it and I took a few notes. and it's all old stuff. So I don't know what you're looking for or whatever. Some cases go back in the 1800s, some, I think one of them was some poultry versus the United States, and I think that was in, I guess I don't have a year on that. But they kind of said that in that case, it went to the Supreme Court, that they said it should go back to the states, they should rule in whatever. So, and I also wanted to ask, was there any audio with that?
No.
No audio, because I didn't hear anything, so I didn't know what you're really after, but I could take some notes, but for the most part, I could not tell. It was all blurry, and in some cases you had square boxes around phrases or words. I couldn't read them, or if you had highlighted all of them. Now, I don't know if you had done that yourself or
No,
if
let me
somebody.
explain. The man that did this is prosecuting a case that involves national security interests. And this was all done after his back was broken in 2 places. So, and there is ongoing litigation. So, and this is, all of those older cases are there because of some of the material at times that is quoted in some of the motions, hearings, and litigations that he was involved in. So that is like a bushel basket full of information. I agree with your articulating that so well. I have, for more than 10 years, been inviting anyone, up to and including in Madison, a representative of the Attorney General at the time, J.B. Van Hollen. His name was Larry Konopaki, at a meeting down there that Lee Nearison attended, incidentally, where I said, you won't understand this without further explanation, and I stand at your service to further explain and to put you in contact with the prosecutor. No one at this point in time has taken me as seriously as you and this county board. So I really compliment you for being able to be concerned about a national security issue that's in the courts. It's an important issue, and I still stand available, ready and available to go into details, and I did offer that at the last meeting. No one approached me by telephone or email or any other way in order to try to clarify anything up to this point. But it's a serious ongoing litigation. It's a serious issue. There's obstruction of justice that's involved with it. It's serious.
You had a couple other issues you wanted
I would do so.
that you wanted to talk.
And it's my understanding at the end of my time at the last meeting that you would have all been given a copy of this if I got it into Ron Huff
We
in
did.
time.
It was in the packet.
I mailed them out.
Okay,
I got it
that's
right
good.
here.
And here are some extra copies for anyone that's interested in my my issues here. And the first issue, the one that I have listed as number 1, is discrimination against my family and me. And I have A and B, and A, I have been prevented from voting twice. Once was, this is a disenfranchisement of me as a honorably discharged veteran. I can legitimately vote, except I've been twice told I can't when I go to Red Mound to vote. Once was a few years ago, and all I can remember is the first name of the woman that told me I could not vote was Rose. And this, just last month, in April, I went there again, and I recognized one of the 4 ladies that was there. Cindy Yawn is her name. That's the only person I recognized there, but I had actions, discussions with them. I was provided with a piece of paper to fill out, and then I was asked some more questions, and then I was asked for some identification, and then is this your, it got to a point of, it sounded to me like the OJ trial or something like that, It was like one more thing that's gonna discount me from being able to vote, to be able to vote. And so it came to where I was asked, is this your current address on this picture ID? I said, no, I've moved across the valley from there. They said, you can't vote. Well, I'm just expressing that to express the concern that there is a disenfranchisement going on right now, and so I just want to make that, obviously one vote makes very little difference, but disenfranchising someone that attempts to vote and lives in the county and goes to the right voting location and all that, that should be considered a rather serious concern for all of the Legal Affairs Committee members. I'll move on, unless there's questions.
Go ahead.
That's
Go ahead.
well as I can explain it. But Cindy Yon would be the one to ask if I'm exaggerating anything or overstating anything. Anyway, B, communications were exchanged secretly by the Wheatland Township Board Chairman and other county officials with language that would cause any normal, reasonable person that receives the exchanges to be suspicious or, at the very least, confused about me and my family. The negative effects on us as the result of the defamatory language caused us unnecessary expenses in both time and money. Subtle slander and defamation are contained in at least one of these secret missives. Now, I have a copy of that here, and I'm quite sure each of you have a copy of it as well. It's the subject matter is complaint filed, and it's forwarded to several people. This transpired without this subject matter being on an agenda anywhere, and without me being notified from anyone at the time that this was produced. I am here, and as you know, I come here and I speak with all due respect. I'm here because I'm not litigious. I'm here because working out things locally in our county is my method of operation. I'm not filing any $1 million lawsuits like a lot of people do. I'm just bringing serious issues to your attention in order that you can bring remedy to the degree that it is within your authority and power to do so. But here's the slanderous, defamatory comment made by, it says at the bottom, thanks, Tim, but it's from Jane M. Baldwin, B-A-L-L-W-A-H-N. And it says, I would strongly suggest having the Vernon County Sheriff Department be present at our meeting with the anticipation of David Stovenell being there, especially after he has received his letter. He might not catch the postings, but he will definitely be upset with the letter. That ipso facto describes that I was unaware of this, these exchanges behind my back and behind the back of anyone and everyone that were visitors at the township board meeting, etc. Serious concern that someone is being slandered and maligned, even in subtle language. So I don't know what else I can say about that, except that I hope that...
Did you contact the county board, or the board out there? Township board?
After I was made aware of this, which was a long time after I received this, and I think I actually, and my memory doesn't serve me as well as it used to, because as some of you that have been on the Legal Affairs Committee for a length of time know that I was forcibly, against my polite objection, strapped down to a gurney and forcibly injected with brain-damaging, mind and mood-altering drugs under the auspices of government authority, not in Vernon County, not even in Wisconsin, but nevertheless, I have to continue repeating that because of the factor of most people have a much, primarily because most people have a much better memory than me. So I have to struggle to be able to answer questions with specificity where most people my age can do that spontaneously, and I have to research records and all that type of thing. But anyway, that is obviously this is wrong. So whatever can be done about it or said about it or conversations that would convince other people to not do that again to anyone, not just to me and my family, would be a building of the public trust that is sorely lacking now in our entire nation. Anyway, any more questions about that? Anyone?
Go on.
Okay, number 2, as a result of the Corporation Council sending me a letter that failed to answer the question, quote, exactly what is prohibited by Article 1, Section 14 in our Wisconsin Constitution, end of quote, I request a more direct, honest answer that includes no obfuscation and no evasion. For your convenience, I refer you to the original request in its entirety that I delivered to all of the Vernon County Legal Affairs Committee members Thursday, 13 December 2018. I do have some copies of that for anyone that is interested as well.
Nikki, you want to answer? I mean, you got the letter, David, and for me, it says the thing that's illegal is feudal tenures are prohibited. That is it. And I don't know unless Nikki wants to, it's right in the letter, and that's what's prohibited.
I do have that letter, and see what is the obfuscatory area is the word prohibited is not anywhere contained within her response to me. I asked for a specific...
You got it right here, and it's on the bottom. It says, therefore, feudal tenures are prohibited. And that's on this letter that you received.
All right, but in the 13 December letter, I requested a definition of the words feudal and tenures with the definitions that I comprehended as the ones that were used at the time that was written, which is the Wisconsin Constitution was written and ratified finally in 1848, and the dictionary that was in common use then was the 1828 Webster's Dictionary, which was what I was studying in order to comprehend what Article 1, Section 14 clearly says, and the response was nearly the opposite. I won't say it was the opposite, but here's why I'm still trying to get a definite meaning. That's why I asked for it. But in my research, I found something that might be helpful in the Corporation Counsel's office. I found something from something called Blackstone's Commentaries. Now, Blackstone was he was a British Englishman, and he wrote on the law. And he's in his commentaries in my studies, he asserts that feudal tenure supplants a lodial title. Now, that, in my opinion, would have been some progress between the Corporation Counsel Office and me in terms of actually getting at some point of agreement, because right now there is a communication breakdown, and it's not as the result of me not being specific. It's as the result of the responses to my request. So I re-request a specific answer to that. Now,
How more specific can we get? I guess I'm a little lost. I mean, we've given you,
okay. Let me ask you, what is a feudal tenure?
feudal tenure is related to and having characteristic of a medieval fee.
Related to
To,
is not
I
a
mean,
specific, that's not, see,
That
that's
is
what
a definition I can give you, David, out of the
Yeah.
dictionary. Now, I don't know when the dictionary date was, but it was my college dictionary that I took, and that goes back into the 60s.
Right?
So I can't go back, I don't know when it was thing or whatever. But I don't know, we've tried to give you the answer.
Well, do you realize the answer you just gave me is non-specific?
I don't know how, that's what the definition is in the dictionary.
Right,
And that is pretty specific. to
right.
me.
And it's in contradiction with the definition that I provided in writing. I have it here if you want me to.
So I don't have any other thing to say. I don't know if Nikki does or Dave.
I would just respectfully point him to in my letter in February where I indicated if you do have concerns or questions following that letter I provided to consult an attorney. And the reason I say that is the county is my client. I can't give you legal advice. I was able to provide you some information, which I did in the February letter. I just can't go beyond that.
Why did you change? Why did you provide a different word than prohibited when you began the letter? Let me just read the first sentence of it here. That's not it. Do you have a copy of that letter in front of you, Ms. Swain?
I do.
I do
think,
too.
David,
Would
what
you
you're
read
probably...
Would you read the intro there?
Let me just ask you, are you getting at the fact that I referenced that one part precluded versus
That's
at another
it.
time prohibited?
Yes.
I intend those words to be synonymous and interchangeable in the context of this letter.
Okay, is it offensive that I asked for more specificity than that?
No, I'm not at all offended.
All right, would you respond with a
No.
letter that is more specific?
No.
All
For the
right,
same reason
I
I'd
may
already
very well
provided.
then seek out an attorney that helps resolve these discrimination issues against me. Then, to the last issue, included with this letter is a 4-page document from continuing litigation that involves serious national security issues. The study and prosecution of this important litigation to a just, honorable, restorative conclusion requires the intelligent participation and action of all government officials. That 4-page document, I'm quite sure you've all been provided with. It looks like this is the first page of it. Have you all been provided with that?
Yes,
We got it.
All right, now, as you can see toward the top of this is a document that is filed under seal. I received this document from the prosecutor. This is an extraordinary case in that this man, who is laying in a hospital bed right now with a broken back in 2 places, and he's continuing this prosecutory work with me as his point of contact. This man discovered extreme criminal activity after he was assigned the constitutional responsibility to investigate foreign arms sales, arms sales to foreign powers, and he discovered criminality so large it's almost impossible to describe in one full day. Nevertheless, as a result of legislation that was passed and signed into law under the False Claims Act, because his supervisor attempted to ignore instead of prosecute the criminals, the responsibility and the duty fell upon his shoulders to do so under the False Claims Act, which is amended from the Lincoln laws that were enacted and signed into law during the terrible crisis between 1861 and 1865. This is litigation that deserves to be investigated by a subcommittee of this Legal Affairs Committee, actually, in that I'm the point of contact, and he's a quadriplegic, but I will get that in writing or over a voice-activated device that he does have in order to bring it to a point of authority that you would have to not disagree with. This is a national security matter. And it's a crime in progress. I should add that. So,
David, from my seat in the park, I'm not a lawyer, but I think this is out of our realm, and if you've got issues with the federal government, I would think you should maybe contact maybe Ron Johnson, Ron Kind, Tammy Baldwin.
I'll accept that as good advice. And I have one other thing that I would like to raise the awareness of, Mr. Lease and everyone else here in attendance. Because I was brain damaged against my will, I'm a very protective of anything or anyone that is harmed by what I call the white coat mafia. Psychiatrists and psychologists that prescribe and over-prescribe and conjure up slanderous and defamatory language against anyone. Now, this is not on the agenda, but I'll leave this with you as one little Jewish child over in Chicago. There were two sisters, actually. This is 2 weeks of billing that all taxpayers cover the cost of this. This is 2 weeks of all of the different psychiatric junk they pumped into her in 2 weeks' time, and the bill is $27,813.83. Obviously, this is not Vernon County either, but I'm a living witness to what happens when the white coat mafia gets you behind a locked door. And so I'll leave this with you, and that's all I have to say, and I thank you all kindly for hearing me out, and I will take up your advice about possibly consulting an attorney and continuing to pursue this until, and anyone in here is invited to talk to me or ask me about this ongoing, this crime in progress against all of us. Anyone, I'm available all the time for bringing this to prosecute this to a successful conclusion. That includes you, Nathan. You can ask me anytime. We always had a good rapport, and I don't go hiding behind any tree anywhere trying to get somebody to listen to the truth. Anyway, I'll leave this with you so that you can see what that child, after she was ripped away from her parents, what happened to her.
Thank you, David.
Thank you very much, all of you.
Okay, moving on. We have resolution of Citizens United. Any comments? David E., you got any comments? David Higgins?
Just that I'd like to see it forwarded to the county board for consideration to be put on the ballot for,
And I take it everybody's read it?
Yes.
You want to make a motion, or do we, I think we should have a motion and vote on it if you want to do that.
I'll make that.
Do I have a second? Justin Running seconds it. I have a first and a second to accept this proposal to support a constitutional amendment. It'll go on the ballot, and it'll also go to the full county board. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Ron Huff, loss control, workers' comp.
Okay, so far this year, workers' comp, we've had 10 claims, 0 days lost, and a total paid out of $3,532. On the loss side, we still have the open claims, the loss of consortium at Vernon Manor. That's been going on since January of 2016. Employment-related, human resource, Linda Keitsa case is open. Termination of Shane Messer case is open. And there's 2 open from 19 on Vernon County Highway restructure and an accident. One of our employees backed in. They show open, but the highway one isn't going to continue, and we've already paid the claim on the plowing accident, so they should be closed by the next meeting.
Okay.
Mike, I just wanted to comment, the resolution will need some fixing to actually get on the ballot.
Okay,
This one doesn't actually request it to be on the ballot at all.
okay,
This is just simply saying the board supports this as a resolution to send on, but we'll need
Okay.
to have a different one come back that has the right form for getting.
okay.
Okay?
And it'd be next April
Yeah,
election.
we-
right?
We have plenty
We've
of
got
time.
plenty of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I just thought I looked it over real quick and I did not actually say it needs to be put on the ballot.
Okay. What I'd like to do, I got court counsel survey coming in next, but after they had board rules concerning land sales and court counsel update by Nikki, I'd like to move them down past 15. I want to talk about the court counsel survey and then go into closed session on the court counsel evaluation and survey. So with that court counsel survey, it was everybody, I would like to look at them when I get a chance. I didn't see it this morning. And then we'll vote on that before we go. So I'm gonna move number 11, Corporation Council Survey. This kinda took me by a little bit of surprise. I had it on last month's agenda, and my thought process was, I talked to the committee about it, and see if they had any things to put on for the survey and whatever, and open up the committee. But when I got there, Serena had already had a survey. It kind of took me by surprise, and I was kind of set back. I didn't say nothing to her that time, but I did call her since, and I found out who did it. That individual isn't here today, so I'm going to forget about that for now. So I want to talk about the survey. I know some people here want to talk about it. Judge Darcy, I guess I'll start with you.
Well, could I wait
Sure.
and listen to
Okay.
what everyone else has to say? Because you invited me along
Yes.
with Dennis.
I'm just sure I've had App Swain and Nikki in particular do a number of things for us on the highway and the buildings and facilities. Excellent service. Whenever I ask for anything I need it immediately, it's always right there when I need it. And we've got a number of things on the back burner that aren't pressing, and excellent service from my point of view.
Nate, are you here for,
I would echo what Phil said. You know, working obviously mostly with Nikki. She's very attentive to what we need and what we ask. And you know, right now obviously there's lots of rumors about why the survey came out in the first place. But all I can sit here and say is we're very happy with the service.
Connie? I think that you're here for that reason?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I just want to ditto what Phil and Nate said. I've worked with AppLaw quite a bit, and they've been great.
Tracy? Not Tracy. Amanda. Sorry, Amanda. Do you have anything you want to say?
The same, I work closely with Nikki.
I'm looking. Pam? Nothing? Okay, Darcy, anybody else got any comment? Ron, yes.
Yeah, I'm just going to comment. I work with both of you a lot, just about weekly, on a lot of different things, and I've been extremely happy. One example, about a year and a half ago, the local newspaper said they weren't going to publish our notices for free, our meetings and stuff like that. And I tried to work with them. I got nowhere. I shared it with Nikki, and she said, I'll come back tomorrow. She called up from my office and talked to the head honchos at the Tribune. It was quite a discussion. She was so articulate. And the next morning they called back and said, we agree with you. We're going to leave it as is. She just completely took charge of that conversation and won them. So several cases like that. Very happy.
Darcy or anybody else? The floor's open. Now's your time to speak.
If I could,
Yes.
I just would like to tell everybody I look forward to providing that same level of service once I join the firm.
Okay, thank you. Darcy?
All right. So I was asked to come here because there perhaps are issues about the knowledge of the law or that sort of issue raised. And I wanted to say that I have Nikki before me on a regular basis in a lot of human services cases, in a lot of civil matters, and in cases that are not, where she's not representing the county, but mostly it's representing the county. And I think she's excellent. I hate to say this in front of you. I think she's excellent. And she is always prepared. She is an extremely experienced litigator, which we're so fortunate to have because we have, the attorneys here don't have the opportunity to get the kind of experience that Nikki's had up in Alaska as PD doing 23 jury trials. That's more than probably anyone but perhaps Tim in the county. And so I have been impressed. You know, I liked her when I first met her, but I didn't know much about her. I worked for about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, when I was transitioning to judge, and was really impressed with her writing and her attentiveness and her zeal for the job. So I think the county is extremely fortunate to have Apt Swain Law. Now, and you all know I worked for David Apt. He hired me, and I'm grateful for that, but that does not influence my opinion in this. In fact, when I moved back here from the city, from out east in Baltimore, I was really concerned about the quality of attorney I was going to find out here and the type of work. And so I was fortunate to get hired by David and was extremely pleased to see what an experienced litigator he is. So for litigation and for brains and for writing, I think Apt Swain Law have done a marvelous job, and I have seen Nikki on numerous cases. I took some notes here. You know, it's really great to hear the positive comments. But I do have to say, I worked in an agency out east who it was an arm of a state agency. The local agency hired its own attorney. Their attorney was an employee. Well, every time they didn't like the advice, they'd fire the attorney. And so finally, because it was causing real problems for the agency, the state made that a state level position and took that position away from the department head. So, you know, it's great that you're happy with what she's done now, but maybe you would like some advice later, and you might say, oh, she's a bad attorney. And I don't think anybody here, unless you're a lawyer, can really make a determination of if the decision and the way the case was prosecuted is accurate. There were a couple things that I'm really pleased about. Child support. When I was on the campaign trail, I heard from so many people that the child support agency was not collecting child support. And it's a lot of people need to have this and they rely on it. So what the agency was doing for these deadbeat dads and some moms was sending the case to the DA's office, and they would charge felonies because it's a felony if you fail to pay for 120 days, I believe it is. So they would have felonies, and there was no defense, so these people they could have a felony conviction. The DA would enter into a diversion agreement so that they could avoid that felony conviction if they paid. But there was like no communication or probably there was communication, but not coordination. So the diversion agreement would have the person paying $100 a month, when in fact perhaps child support was $300 a month. So I observed when I was in training Judge Ziegler in Monroe County, and we've adopted his practice, and that is to have what's called pay or appear. So the individuals they have to pay. So Nikki will bring the action. Nikki, representing the child support agency, will bring the action. I'll enter a pay or appear order. If the individuals don't pay by the last day of the month, they have to come on the following Tuesday to explain to me why. And I can hold them in contempt, I can send them to jail. And this is actually working, and we're getting child support. And the reason I'm raising it is that I suggested it to Nikki. I said, I think this would be a better way to go. And she just took the ball and ran with it, and she drafted special orders. I think she met with the Monroe County attorney, and really it's working beautifully. So I applaud Child Support Agency and Nikki for making that difference. It's a real difference for a lot of the people here. And then in Vernon Manor, there was an unusual case trying to get payment, and I thought that when I first read the case, I thought, well, this is a loser for Vernon Manor. And but Nikki researched the law, and we had a trial. She's a very good trial attorney because of her significant experience, which again, we don't often see here. So we had a trial, and with her legal research and writing and argument, she persuaded me, and Vernon Manor got $80,000, got a judgment for $80,000. And it was unusual case. It's not something any attorney is going to know about. It was Nursing Home Reform Act. You probably know about it, but I didn't know about it, and it's not standard fare for an attorney. She grappled it, she did it, and that's my experience with her, is that because she's smart and because she's an experienced lawyer, she's able to take on any new case. Of course, there's always a learning curve, and so it might take a while for you to be able to figure that out. I think if there are problems, they really need to be looked at. I think that the concerns have to be raised. Nikki and David have to be able to explain why they did what they did, because the department heads aren't lawyers, so you're not going to know if this was a proper action or not. And then if you still don't like that result, perhaps you can have someone else look at it. But if there are concerns on specific cases, then those really should be addressed. If there are issues of confidentiality, that is a non-issue really, because there are ways around that. If a department head believes that the records cannot be released, then the confidential information can be redacted. It's always done. The other thing is there are confidentiality agreements that are regularly signed by anybody who's reviewing data or reviewing a federal grant, for example. You'll have these computer programmers who have to look very closely at the data, confidential human services data, for example, and they'll sign confidentiality agreements, and they are permitted to look at the data. So there should be the opportunity to look at these and address these issues And then I was kind of surprised, I did fill out the survey, and I raised all these things as well, and of course gave them high marks, because in my experience, that's what they deserve. Let's see, is there anything, does anybody have any questions? This is from my perspective. I did talk with our register and probate, as well as our clerk of courts, and they're all delighted with the work that App Swain Law has done, and that will be reflected in their separate surveys.
Okay, anything else? Anybody want to add anything? Last chance. Otherwise, I'm going to probably go into closed session. Okay, I'm going to move on. I'm going to jump to 14, review of Court Counsel evaluation / survey. The chairman will entertain a motion to enter into closed session pursuant with Wisconsin statute 19-85-1C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. Roll call vote if motion is not unanimous. Enter into closed session if motion is made and passed. Can reconvene in open session pursuant to Wisconsin Stat 19-85.2. Roll call if motion is not unanimous. With that, I'll entertain a motion. Justin, motion. Kay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're in closed session.